Hello and welcome to Train Sim World's roadmap update for May 2023, and we're going to take a walkthrough of the roadmap and see what it's got to offer for this month. And if you like this one, when you hit that like button and also subscribe. But without further ado, let's jump into the summary for what is outlined in this this roadmap. So first of all, we've got a upcoming UK route which has now finally been announced, and that is the Glossop line, which will be from Manchester to Hadfield and Glossop. So that'll be interesting to see what the roadmap's got to say on that one. We've got a new German loco, although it doesn't say what it is or which route it's likely to layer onto. We've got some Spirit of Steam improvement patches, which I think will be very much welcomed. We've got a bit on Peak Forest. The New York to Trenton Timetable improvements, I think, is going to be very, very welcomed by the community. So interested to see what they've got to say on that. Third-party updates from both Skyhook Games and Just Trains. I think that's pretty relevant given the recent release of Midland Main Line and some of the bugs that we've experienced on that route. We've got a bit of inside development, and I'm not sure I will dive too much into that one. And then we've got a new format for roadmap listings. Okay, pretty good. So let's jump into the little box, how they usually display kind of what's coming up, partner releases, special projects, and core features. So I think it's a good little overview of what we can expect over the next couple of months or so, I think it's fair to say. So let's jump into. So we've got a bit of a month in review. So this is about sort of Dovetail Games reviewing what's happened over the last couple of months, and perhaps outlining some things that we as the player base would like to know about. So yeah, it certainly has been a couple of busy months for Dovetail Games in terms of the the release cadence. We've seen a lot of new DLCs released, add-ons, which I think has resulted in perhaps a dip in quality of what we've seen. Certainly they talk about some high points there. There are some high points, but also definitely some improvements. So yep, I think that's a little bit of an understatement. While some have not hit the consistency or quality bar we expect, I think that's a little bit of an understatement. But hey, we'll carry on. It's a tough balance. So we talk about here we don't get it right all the time, no, but we're hard to get. Okay, whatever. We won't dwell too much on that. That's just a bit of corporate speak. So how they're going to improve the future roadmaps. So but here's a few things we'll be implementing to improve our offerings in the long term. A standardized list of features for all first party. Yes, absolutely, because that has been, there definitely hasn't been any consistency on that front. Renewed focus from our QA team on ensuring these features are included. Yep, fine. Focus on squeezing as much gameplay from content as we're able to. Yeah, fine. Agree with that, i.e. the timetables. Review and expand our beta communities. I don't know, but from what you read on the Dovetail Games forum, it sounds like the beta community do report these issues, but you've actually got to act on them. I think that's the biggest thing, rather than just expanding it. Expanding on our production team to provide more focus and rigor on add-on development. Yeah, fine. I mean, that's not really saying too much there without a bit of context. And then building an internal focus group dedicated TSW players to better inform our plans moving forward. I think that will be interesting. Certainly something that should be taken into consideration in terms of what the player base actually would like to see in the game, rather than potentially what Dovetail Games just think is right. So after the Peak Forest release on the 9th of May, so next week, and the Spirit of Steam patch, they're going to have little breaking content. Hallelujah. That's about time, because they need to go back and have a look at quite a few things. Because certainly Link Orion Strecker is still waiting its post-release patch. Nidselbarn's not so much, because I think that was in a relatively good state. Bremen Oldenburg, and definitely Midland Mainline. HST livery designer has been talked about forever. So it's quite sad that Midland Mainline was released ahead of that, so I'm glad to see that's getting some priority. A partner program release featuring the first selection of Midland Mainline improvements. Yes, I think that's definitely on the cards. We understand that's on the way, and there's been some absolutely fantastic communication from Skyhook Games on the Dovetail forum. So if you want to know a little bit more about the fixes that are coming, do head over to the forums, because I think they've done a fantastic job in terms of their communication and transparency around what's coming. I think that's something for Dovetail Games to take note of. And just a quick note, some of this stuff might release before, so if not, there's quite a lot of stuff there to work their way through. So I think it's fair to say don't expect everything to be released in this month there. Then we got team will be bolstering the timetable. Yep, we know about that. And also the Peninsula Corridor missing baby bullet services that have been outstanding forever, all the way back to Train Sim World 2. That's how long that's been outstanding. And then I think we saw an announcement earlier on this month where Dovetail Games announced they have been bought by Focus Entertainment, and as a result of that, they are intending to provide all the one French add-on for Train Sim World free in May. So just a bit of context, Focus Entertainment are a French-based company, therefore, yeah, you see it's kind of appropriate. So you'll be able to pick up LGV Mediterranean Marseille to Avignon for free between May 26th and June the 2nd. I mean, why not pick it up as free? I think that would be my take on that. And then it becomes a permanent edition. Will become permanent edition. Great, go pick it up. Take what you can. And then as a final note, we hear your calls from you. Communication around development. That's why we're going to monthly new video roadmap branch line, aiming to provide a little more detail on some of the things we're working on. So this is the bit that bugs me. You can communicate as much as you want, but it has to be a two-way dialogue. The community are absolutely pointing out some really glaringly obvious issues, bugs that just get glossed over and ignored, which is not great. And I think that's the issue with their communication. Well, yes, you can communicate as much as you want, but I think the player base want to be heard. So that's my view on that one. Anyway, on to the recently announced new UK route, which is all around the Glossop line, so from Manchester to Hadfield and Glossop. More information will come in the next coming weeks, but delighted to announce that it will be that. Yeah, fine. Here's the route map and a sneak peek of Dinting Station. Okay, so let's have a look at this route map here. So we start off, so Manchester Piccadilly. So let's think about this. This is very much a quite a significant large station. It's gonna be busy, and so it'll be interesting to see what layers, or if we are going to get another empty feeling station, a little bit like quite a number of stations we are now sort of building up in the Train Sim World portfolio. But anyway, see, it's doesn't say how long this is, so it'll be interesting to see what the length of this is. But the interesting bit of the Glossop line is around this junction here, because you go from 15, which is Dinting, yeah, I think I'm saying that right, to Glossop, and then back on yourself. I guess you have to change ends there to Hadfield. So that in itself will make it very interesting. This will feature the Class 323, but in Northern livery. So this is not a new loco. This is one that we first saw as part of Birmingham Cross City, obviously in West Midlands Railway livery, but now will be in Northern livery. So great loco. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely fantastic. That loco is, my only concern would be how Manchester Piccadilly is going to feel as a as a busy station. So wait and see on that one. It's a fully fantastic, self-contained and fully complete route travelling into a modern-day Manchester, arriving into a different terminus than Northern Transpennine. Yep, fine. Formerly part of the Woodhead line before it closed in the BR era. Also features, again, first time, a unique operation with the Triangle Junction. That's what I was just talking about with the from here to Glossop and then back on itself. And then for those of you who want to take the 323 on a spin up north or haven't experienced yet, this will be right up your street. Yep, great. And we'll share some more screenshots and videos closer to the release. Okay, well, I'll wait to see on this one, but probably feels quite nice in terms of a different type of operation. I'm not sure what the length is, but if it's got a fairly decent length and it's a decent in terms of the time it takes to run that route, I think it could be quite good. Mainly fear, Manchester Piccadilly, which is not surprising. We've got a new German loco which has been added to the roadmap, but no information on it. We will know what the codes are but above if you want to try and give a guess in terms of what era it's on, if it's electric, diesel, steam, take your pick. So if you head over to the Dovetail Games forum, you'll be able to use the to understand what those codes all mean. And next thing up will be New York Trenton updated timetable. So this is one I think there was certainly, I think that's pretty accurate, loud and clear. The community wanted more services, and they underestimated the complexities. Well, so this is my a little bit of bugbear here. If they were unable to spend the time to make this a complete route, then surely should have held back until it was appropriately right, rather than release it in the state it was, because it did tarnish people's view on that route, and it always will be now, because that will be in the back of the mind. So interesting to see what comes out of this, but I think the horse is already bolted on that one, I'm afraid. So it's nice to see that they've listened, and hopefully they've listened for future routes as well. So we'll see what comes of the updated timetable, but it seems like it's going to get a significant work by the Dovetail Games team to include as many services as they can to give that correct feeling of how busy that part of the world is. So a little bit more detail in terms of what will be brought to the timetable. I'm sure you're able to read that in slower time, but I think that's a positive step. It's good to see it being addressed, and we'll wait to see actually how many services do get added. But it will create the largest US timetable in Train Sim World. I don't think many of the other Train Sim World routes in the US were particularly heavy with timetable in terms of type. Oh, Boston Sprinter was pretty busy, but we'll see. It doesn't give us any detail in terms of the numbers of services that will be added or will be playable or are AI only. So interested to see what comes of that. Next up, we've got a Spirit of Steam improvements patch. Now, this has been, again, a little bit too long and overdue since Spirit of Steam was originally released. Obviously, that was released in the era of Train Sim World 2 originally. So this will be coming hopefully later this week, which is great. great to see it finally come out, but it shouldn't have been waiting this long. It should have been well before the release of another Steam route. So yeah, interesting to see what those physics, if those physics updates will address all of the issues raised by the community. So we'll wait and see for that. But some of the notable updates will be the introduction scenario, or the introduction will be able to be completed along with a couple of other scenarios. A couple of derailments fixed. Gold medals are now achievable on the bovine blockage scenario. Reduction in the volume of safety valves. This is a big one because Trenton will just earlier today have released a preview of the upcoming 4F for Peak Forest, and those safety valves are still very loud. So I'm not sure what we'll see on that front. But hey ho, AI locos causing SPADs. Well, that's definitely one that needs to be fixed, and fixed headlights, fixed scenario planner formations. Okay. All of the physics improvements will be ported back to both Spirit of Steam and obviously West Cornwall local Steam Rail Tour, and will be there on day one for Peak Forest. So that's good. That's good. And they're also currently investigating the causes of the firemen to intermittently vanish. That's yeah. Believe they have a fix, but it's a core game improvement and will require more testing. So wait and see when that one eventually comes out. And then just a final note to say manual firing is still in the process of being scoped out, so will not be part of this update. And I think the whole fireman and firing of a steam loco needs to be addressed, because I think most people's view is that is the cause of the horrible safety valve noises that we hear. It was also promised there would be the recent loco add-on bundle improvements. So there'll be the German pack only released with 2 scenarios, so a 3rd scenario will be coming. And the US pack, the trailers on the flat wagons here you can see in the picture below are more prototypical to the US. So great, like that. Although that felt like another rush release that should not have been released with a scenario missing and non-prototypical. I think that's my view. It's all right. A little bit more detail on Steam improvements. We've recalculated. Yep, okay. You get less steam through the valves as they are open. Okay, so some more. Okay, more. That's basically these improvements here will result in more sustained performance at lower speeds. So you don't probably get quite a jerking or quite high acceleration when you're trying to do slow speed movements. Okay. So a little bit more about Peak Forest. Obviously that's coming next Tuesday, 9th of May. As I talked about just a second ago, we've got the preview video of the 4F and hopper wagon, which I'll let you watch for yourself, but it's pretty safety valve heavy. So yeah, I'll leave you to think and to come up with your own thoughts for that one. And then we've got banking in the Peak Forest. So we knew we wanted to implement bank operations early in development since it's necessary to allow heavy freight up the steep inclines. Okay. Our implementation of it in game is a close representation of how they would have done it back in the day. Drivers would have been given notice of when their train would require banking on the route before starting work. Once they've collected the hoppers from the quarry, they would wait to be assisted by another locomotive. The banking locomotive would push from the rear. We have it coupled to our formations to allow for information to be shared across the train. Once coupled, the driver of the 8F blows the whistle accordingly, notifying the driver of the 4F to release the brakes and begin the banking process. The train is then up. Some nice pictures here. Train then is assisted banking up past Peak Forest Station, where it stops to allow the 4F to uncouple and return to the quarry for further duties. Pretty cool. The AF then descends down the rest of the route past Chinley and beyond. You have seen this regularly across the line. If a train exceeded the maximum load, they would require banking across this section of the route. When creating these services, there are a lot of dependencies on both mainline freight and shunting services to allow for efficient running of the two. This took a bit of trial and error to get right, but we're happy with how it turned out. That sounds like a pretty good operation, actually, in terms of something a little bit different, having to do for the 4F to be coupled up to the back to give that extra bit of grunt as it goes up the incline, and then obviously having to stop to allow it to uncouple. Okay. Short breakdown of playable service, local stopping and express passenger services with the Jubilee, limestone quarry shunting and banking with the AF4F and the hoppers, yard shunting services with the 4F and various freight wagons, local freight with the 8F and various freight wagons, and light loco services, including all locomotives. So it really does feel like a quite a varied experience for Pete for us. So it'd be interesting to see what that is like. There's an upcoming preview stream on this Thursday, so the 4th of May. So if you want to take a closer look at that, go ahead and check that out. And then just to finally say, we've got 110 playable services and 140 AI services. So interesting to see what sort of how busy that route feels. I'm not too sure what it would feel like in real life. Nothing to really report on the Class 700 other than a bit of an interior shot of the 700, which looks good. I think that's all I can say. And then finally, we'll come into core improvements, which I think I'm not going to dwell on too many. So we've got add-ons manager. So obviously that was released for PlayStation some time back, and they're looking at rolling it out for Xbox and then finally PC, but no real update on that other than they're experiencing some crashing issues. So I think that's a little bit way down the line until that's fixed. HST livery, that needs to hurry up. That's been overdue for far too long. Likewise for Peninsula Corridor and Oakville Corridor Baby Bullet services. That's been talked about for far too long. Preservation crew releases, again, sadly, they're you might be committed, but you've been talking about it for far too long. That's just need to get on and finish it, because I know there are a lot of the community that continually ask about that, but to no update. I know we've got a summary of the patches, which I'm not going to dwell on. Third-party update. I think this is a really important one. So, as I sort of mentioned earlier on in this in this roadmap walkthrough, there's been some excellent communication from Skyhook Games following the release of Midland Mainline around some of the issues and transparency in terms of how these bugs are being fixed, have been fixed, listening to the community where there are issues, which I absolutely love. The biggest one is expanding the timetable. Midland Mainline did feel very, very quiet, so I'm really pleased that the timetable will be expanded. But take note, New York to Trenton is a common theme here. Also light. Whole new freight services, again, that was due to be there on its release, but wasn't there. Major route resignaling, yes, I completely agree, because there are some peculiar signaling on that line as it is at the minute. Numerous environment fixes, great. Station updates to add realism, great, all for that. Multiple bridges remodeled from scratch to be more reflect their real world counterparts, great. City updates to add more bespoke buildings, great. This feels like a good update coming. Significantly functional updates for the Class 158, interested to see what that actually turns out to be. Performance updates, re-adding the removed freight services and railhead treatment train service. And yes, that's one I got. So addressed the issue where the non-playable character got stuck in the doorway. So I hit this bug on my very first look and definitely got stuck in the 158. And then updating the vehicle coupling and logic. Okay. And addressing issues with the HST, including the system functionality and unit numbers. Yes, because I'm all for that. And then we've got some more information on that as they continue to fix it and they're ready for release. So I hope this is in the next coming weeks, but I'd rather they take their time and get it right. Update from Just Trains. Many of you know Just Trains have proven pun alert track record. Yeah. Good pun. With our very detailed, accurate, high quality. Yep, they very much are. We've got some great routes in Train Sim Classic. Really alive. Working hard, dedicated first route. Okay, cool. Building on any of the very routes. Recap so far, we've completed, so they've laid 26 miles of, completed 26 miles of scenery with 20 miles to go, so 46 miles in total. Okay, so pleased to say the project is over half complete. Our environment artists are busy bringing the virtual world to life, and our team of asset builders are creating superb, realistic looking objects. Okay, great. Progress on the train that will be coming to this route is coming along at pace and looks excellent. Okay, so we gained absolutely zero from that other than it's coming. Here we've got a bit of inside development. I'm going to skip over that because I'll leave you to read that in slower time if you would like to. The roadmap we've added this month, we've added indicators to show how far along the development various items of the roadmap are. Next arrival, our next release. Expect this to be released before the next roadmap. Okay, so just some in planning 3 to 9. Okay, so just to give a bit of timelines on some of the upcoming, some of these issues that we've just talked about. Again, probably not too much of a surprise, actually. I think the ones that are of concern, I guess, are at a red light because there is no timeline, and we'll see if we've got any. Yeah, that's probably a red light. So that was one of Skyhook's loco add-ons. The fact that the 187 that was very poorly received by the very poorly received by the community around the audio. So sad that there's no kind of material update to what is going to happen with that. Similarly, rush hour passes for London commuter. Okay, so that probably concludes our walkthrough of the roadmap for May. So quite a lot of interesting information in there. It's nice to hear that they are taking note of some of the feedback in terms of the bugs and the insane release cadence that we experienced over the past couple of months. Let's just see what let's hope they stick to it and they do bring those updates and bug fixtures. And interested to hear more about the Glossop line. So if you've enjoyed this one, why don't you hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.